Kakadosh Boker Or, Bekiim Bahalacha 4, day 64, page 159, Siman Kav Zayin. Right? This is Sif Memchet, right? Halacha Memchet. So it says like this: מי שחושש שתפיליו ישמטו ממקומם ורוצה לחזקם בכריכה נוספת, רשאי לכרוך על הטיטורה, ויש שכתבו שיכרוך כריכה על הזרוע העליונה. So basically like this is the Lezion. So basically what happens though, we just learned that you don't need to come and start putting extra straps. And the opposite, you should go directly from the arm downwards to the 7. What happens though if a person is afraid that it's going to slip out of place? So the reason why he's doing an extra strap over the titura is to hold it into the place. So he can do so. There's no problem. He says some poskim recommended that instead of doing that, wind the strap one coil around the upper arm after tightening the loop to reinforce its grip on the arm, which means instead of putting it again on the titura, because we just said that you know the opposite, you shouldn't even do it on the titura. But technically, if you want, what you could do is that after you tighten it, do one more strap here on the upper arm. It's not a third one. It's not a third one. One more time. Here you have, right? Here you have the strap. You come in, you tighten. If you put it on the titura, so it could look like a sheen. It could look like it. Now we already said you're not doing that, and you're not supposed to do it. So alabait, yeah, on the actual titura, which is the bottom part of the bite, right? That part. So he comes and he says, what you can do is when you tighten it and go around here below. When I look, I will not see a sheen. I'm going to see 2 and then 1, but it's not a sheen. The sheen is if you put it on top of here, that it looks like this. So then it looks like 3. Yeah, bediuk po, lo ala tefillin. Not on the tefillin. It's not on lifnei azroa. You're going to have an extra one. That's what he says, that you're able to do that. The sheen is allowed, but we already brought down that a lot of people say you shouldn't do the sheen. That was no, but what's the footnote 171, right? Obviously, if people are going to be in their phones, they won't be able to understand what we're saying, and we were speaking to them. So again, there were 2 different shitot. He said if a person cannot have that the tefillin are going to kept in their place, so therefore, obviously, what they're going to do is they're going to put it on top of the titura. There, it's going to be okay. But he says, but some poskim still recommended, right? And this is going to be the Orletzion, right? That it's better to do it the other way around, which means that you add a loop over here to reinforce it. So let's see. When the tefillin shelyan might slip out of place, in the previous footnote, it was explained that Rabbi Yaakov Veil and the Ramah ruled that it is incorrect to wind the tefillin strap across the titura, and the Mishnah Berurah agreed with this. Despite this, the Mishnah Berurah added that the Ortzot HaChaim permits it if someone needs it in order to prevent the tefillin shelyan from slipping out of place. The Ortzot HaChaim cited the Divrei Chamudot. So, by the way, as I already told you, you see that there was already the Rishonim, and then you have the Achronim speaking that it's against the halacha, meaning it's against the halacha to come and to start putting it on the titura, right? So now he comes and he says like this. So Ortzot HaChaim brought down the Divrei Chamudot, defending the custom of the Austrian Jews, explaining that their garments had narrow sleeves. So if they wouldn't secure the tefillin shelyan in place, it would slip out of place. And that's why they did it. Meaning they didn't do it just stam. Their clothing was in such a fashion that if they didn't tighten down the tefillin, it would come out of place. So therefore, he says this is the leniency, which is going to be well based from the Shirei Keretz Gdolah, the Rav Chida and the Kavachim Sofer, that if you're doing it in order that it doesn't slip out of place, you're permitted to do it. Now, what about winding the strap around the upper arm? So if we're going to be concerned with ensuring the tefillin slip out of place, you could do an extra strap. What's the problem? In fact, this is recommended strategy, right, from the Or Letzion. He didn't agree with the leniency ruling of the Kavachaim to go around the titura, either because of Kabbalistic reasons or because the titura is more sacred than the strap. So how could you cover it? Everyone understood? One more time. I think somebody mentioned before, what's the big deal? Just do whatever. No. One second. First of all, the Pi Kabbalah, it's wrong. And number 2, also, he said, what's more holy? The bite or the strap? Obviously, the bite. So why are you putting the strap on the bite? The bite is something, you understand? The bite is something completely different. Why are you doing the other way around? So he comes and he says, again, this is Or Letzion. The Or Letzion, he argues. The Or Letzion, he comes and he says, what are you doing? So this is the ruling also of the Turei Zahav, the Taz. But the Moruk Tziyah ruled that the strap is the same as the Titura. Machloket or Moruk Tziyah. Although the Kavarim explained that it is permissible to wind the strap on the Titura if it's needed to, the Or Letzion realized the reason that the tefillin can be sacred in its place by winding the strap around the upper arm. And therefore, he did not permit winding around the Titura. Since there's going to be two practical solutions, right, for the problem, so he says logic dictates that people, people who need a solution should adopt the time-honored practice of winding the strap across the titura instead of adopting a new practice around the upper arm. On the other hand, some poskim complained that the other practice is incorrect. So the Ben Yishchai instructed us to tighten the strap with the loop around the upper arm, and then pull the strap towards the person's body around the bite, and then directly right towards the forearm. He said the Chaim. He says Vayasho Vayam. He noted a complaint about these instructions. If someone attempts to follow them, it's likely the feeling will come loose because of the movement of the arm. In fact, he says that Ben Zion Mashul testified that he personally attempted to follow the Ben Yishchai's instructions and was unsuccessful. He was then instructed by Rabbi Ephraim HaKohen to fasten the tefillin on his arm by pulling the strap against the loop around the upper arm and then winding it around the yod. And he says this is likely the basis of the Or Letzion. The Chesel Alafim related that some people did not want to wind. So he says the strap around the upper arm, and so they solved the problem by making the loop protruding from the mabarta long enough to reach around the arm, almost up the other end of the mabarta. In this way, they can pull the strap across the yod without winding it around right the arm at all. For some reason, the Or Letzion did not mention the solution at all. Okay, so therefore he says, anyway, according to the Maran and Shalom, it's totally unnecessary to wind the strap across the yod at all, right? You don't have to do anything, as we already mentioned. So according to Rav Ovadia, also the same thing, you didn't need to. Okay, halacha memtet. Achar sheidek atfilin bezro, yikroch sheva krichot al yedo. So you tighten it, you do 7 krichot. Where between the marpek and the kaf hayad, between the palm and the elbow. Yeah, everyone's here. Yeah, okay.
Behind this?
Which one? Yeah.
This is where I should finish it, right?
Between here and here. Between here and here. 7.
Before this.
Yeah.
Before this part.
Yes. Okay. Ve'en chatzaya krichot mitztarfim. The half ones, they do not mitztaref. Okay, meaning the 2 halves. So he says, right, velachen, and therefore, please. He comes and he says like this, velachen, ma shenimshechet haretzua betchilat hazroa, right, mitzad echad shel hazroa, en ze nechshav kricha, ve'en ze bichlal hakrichot, vehu adin. So one more time, Memtet comes and it says that after you tighten the strap of the tefillin to the bite in the proper place, right, on the upper arm, you're going to go around 7 times between the elbow and the wrist, right? That's the wrist. That was what you showed me before, Iran. Over there, there's the wrist. The half revolution bringing the strap down from the upper arm does not count as the 7, nor does the other half. Meaning, when you come and you go around, the first thing is a half. Over here, you also have a half because you're going from here to here. That's also a half because you don't have the top part. You have 2 halves. The first half is from here down. Here you have a half, right? Because on the bottom there's nothing. And then you have a second half here. So, right? So therefore he says the 2 halves are not counted. Okay? That's what he says. So we count only the full coils. So that's, again, there's going to be 2 opinions, right? But his opinion is there's going to be 7. So that means which really makes 8 if you're going to count the 2 halves. But it's really 7 full coils. Al-Khetzi. Never heard of it. Yeah. The custom of the Sephardic Jews, right, is to coil the strap around the forearm in the counterclockwise fashion so that the coils are completed. The strap comes up to the thumb and across back the hand. Many Ashkenazic Jews coil the clockwise fashion so the foil coils are completed. The step comes up on the pinky finger and across the back of the hand. So you got 2 different customs. Okay. And then he says, as explained above, our custom is to postpone putting on the tefillin shalosh until after we do the 7 times. If someone realizes that he takes the time to wind the 7 times, will miss the opportunity for Kaddish Kedusha, he can immediately put on the tefillin shalosh and answer Kaddish Kedusha. And then you do the 7 times. Because remember, you're not allowed to make a hafsek. No pasek. Yeah, between tefillin shel yad and tefillin shel rosh. So therefore, you want to answer Kaddish Kedusha, and they're going to start. So now you can't. So what do? You made the bracha, and now you're going to do the 7 times. You're not going to have enough time.
No.
Put on the tefillin shel rosh, answer Kaddish Kedusha, and then you do the 7 times.
Wait, I can do.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Read. You're not reading with me.
כמה סופרים מלמעלה? אם אני סופר מלמעלה, כמה אני סופר?
7 shlemot ו2 חצאי. זה יהיה 8. בגלל עוד פעם, בגלל אתה סופר מפה. זה יהיה 1, אבל זה לא 1 באמת, בגלל זה למטה, זה רק חצי.
ילידו, ראש, תענה אמן.
בדיוק. Okay, even before winding the 7 times. This was explained above in 2554. See above, Siman 25, beginning with Halacha 42, regarding someone who spoke of after putting on the tefillin shel yad, but before putting on the tefillin shel rosh. Okay, fine. Anyway, we've got the 2 different opinions of the clockwise or counterclockwise for the putting on the finger, and then we'll continue with Zat Hashem tomorrow.